Hi everyone, it's Jessica Young here with Young Transporters, and we are going to be doing the second part of the last video on what makes a great dispatcher from a broker's perspective. I just first off want to say thank you for all the comments, all the love that we get. We are so bombarded with emails right now, so please bear with us if we haven't gotten back to you in a timely fashion for your emails. Honestly, that's not the way we like to do business, and we are really trying to do our best to be able to manage everything. If you reach out for us for dispatch services, I really appreciate it. We are completely booked at this time, and we are trying to get people trained and up to speed and everything like that, but we're big on quality versus quantity. And what I mean by that is that we want to make sure that we are providing our carriers with the best service. In order to do that, we can't have so many carriers booked with one dispatcher and not be able to provide the best service for them. So we will be getting back to you. In other words, that's what I'm trying to say. But this video, like I said, is going to be coming from a broker's perspective on what makes a great dispatcher. And I really hope, I know a lot of carriers watch us, so I really am trying to give you the perspective from a broker's perspective on what exactly they're looking for when they consider you a great carrier or their primary carrier. I know you've heard brokers use that word, their primary carrier or their premier carrier, depending upon what brokerage that you work with. But I was a broker prior to this, prior to me starting the dispatch business for a couple years. So like I said, I really want to be able to give you that knowledge on what it is a broker's looking for when they consider a carrier, a primary carrier, or what do they consider a dispatcher as a great dispatcher or providing great service, or doing good business, as you would say. So first off is communication. Communication is big. You know, as you know, and I'll kind of break it down to you, a broker is really just the middleman in anything. You can have a broker for real estate. Freight has broker, you have broker for insurance. So a broker is just the middleman in anything. So for freight, it's just the middleman between the carrier and the customer, right? So they are working on the customer's behalf. They're relaying information on the customer's behalf. They've negotiated the rate with the customer. Obviously, they have to make money off of it. And I'm not going to even go into that. That's a whole nother spill on how much, they make. You'd be surprised, but you have your good brokers out there. And then you have your brokers that, definitely obviously take advantage of people. But like I said, that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go into that. But based upon a broker's perspective is they are very big on communication. In order to cover your end, you have to make sure that you're communicating seamlessly. And when I say that, not just by phone, but also by email, because you want a paper trail of everything that's being said. So I'm really dropping some game right here on this, y'all. So if you have a conversation with a broker, for instance, talking about TONU, detention, actually, I am currently in a situation right now where one of my drivers did not pick up a load on Friday, and we are talking on layovers and things like that. And I'm talking with the broker. We're going back and forth on things. But one thing he did say is that we had great communication on this. I'm keeping him updated on where my driver is at the moment. And he's going to make sure he takes care of us. But he was big on that, was the fact that we are communicating with him exactly what's going on, where my driver is, what are they telling the driver, with the driver being on site, what is a shipping company, or what is a crew out there telling my driver about what's going on, so that way we can put two and two together when there's problems that arise on site, right? But my point in saying all that is just having great communication. So everything that we talked about over the phone, that we had a phone conversation, I made sure that I also sent that in an email to him. So I made sure that I said, prior to our phone conversation, this is what was stated. So you want a paper trail of everything that goes on as far as communication. I personally am not a phone person in a sense of updating brokers and things like that, because I want a paper trail. When they tell me that they haven't received a lumper fee receipt, I want to be able to forward the receipt that I sent to them 2 weeks ago or a month ago. Sometimes they ask me for a month ago of a lumper receipt, right? I don't be able to forward them the receipt that I forward to that particular broker a month ago when the load was finished, to show them that hey, look, we communicated this. We communicated this receipt a month ago to somebody prior in your office. You know, y'all need to figure that out. So a paper trail is very important. Communication is very important, obviously. At the time, the broker is definitely looking for you as a dispatcher to communicate what the carrier is going through and what he's experiencing on site. So as a dispatcher, you want to know, I know it drives my carriers crazy, but you know, I want to know when you're on site. You know, I want to be able to communicate with the broker. Driver's on site at this time. And I know a lot of times they're probably like, man, you know, it's a little overbearing, but I'm doing that as a timestamp. So when my driver is telling me that they are on site at a certain time, I am relaying that with the broker that my driver is on site at a certain time. And I do that very strategically in case of detention or tonu on that load. So if my driver is sitting there and I've had this happen to me, like I said, all the time, but prior to this weekend that I was dealing with this, my driver was sitting there literally at 6 p.m. trying to pick up a load, and it was going on 12:30, and it was getting crazy. But guess what? We were getting paid for that time because there was a timestamp on when I sent the email. My driver's on site. This is what's going on. So that's very important for a dispatcher. You know, don't negate the fact that you just booked the load for the carrier and then you're on to the next, and that you're not even keeping track or keeping up with the broker on what's going on and things like that. Again, if you have a dispatch service, you have to remember that you're working on behalf of that carrier. So you want to make sure that you are doing good business on behalf of their business. You are the representative for that business. So please don't do bad business in just booking the load and then not getting back, you know, to the broker on what exactly is going on. When I was a broker, that used to drive me crazy. I'm like, I have no idea where the truck is. I don't even know if your truck made it on site. I don't even know if they picked up. Did they deliver? If I'm having to search for all this information as a broker, guess what? I'm not booking you anymore. You know, I'm really not. So sorry, I just had a phone call and I had to like delete it. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not booking you for that load again. You know, I'm not going to call you and say, hey, by the way, you know, can you come do this load for me? I have several of these a week. Not if I had to search for information. The people that I'm looking for are the people that I'm going to call again and even be willing to even negotiate more money are the people that did a great job. The people that kept me updated in communication, the people that I didn't even have to reach out to. They already reached out to me through email or via phone and said, hey, my driver's on site. Hey, my driver's loaded. Hey, it's clean bills. Attached is a POD or the BOL. Like, that is a type of communication that a broker is looking for a dispatcher. And guess what? When it's time for other loads, they are going to be emailing you saying, hey, do you have a truck available? I get that all the time. Hey, do you have a truck available in Pennsylvania? Hey, do you have a truck available here and there? And that's honestly just doing good business with a broker. So from a broker's perspective, a great dispatcher has great communication on that. Also, from a broker's perspective, as a dispatcher, honestly, is not too greedy on rates. And I know that this might rub a lot of carriers, you know, like, oh man, you know, no, we're here to get our money. At the end of the day, you want a good working business relationship with people, right? So if a broker's asking me how much do I want, am I going to shoot for $6 a mile on that run and then get hung up on? And I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on this, but honestly, that's not good negotiating skills to me. You know, I'm not going to shoot for something that we can't even talk about, you know, or get in the ballpark. Granted, if the rate is super low, then I'll let you know, hey, we are so far apart in where we are and where this rate should be that there's no even room for conversation. But just be mindful of the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, some of these big companies, especially the ones that you notice that run a lot of box truck loads, like, you know, box truck loads, they're few and far in between. You want to do good business and you want to make sure that you're negotiating fair. And that is a such thing as negotiating fair. As a broker, I'm not going to lie, I hung up on people when they were calling me, asking me for $10 a mile. I'm sorry, but we can't even have that conversation. the customer's not even paying me that much. As much as you think I'm making as a broker, the customer's not paying me $10 a mile for this lane. Okay, so let's just be realistic. So really having realistic expectations of what that lane should run is different. If you're in Cali and coming out of Cali, then that realistic of what that should run per mile, that's different than coming out of Florida. And if I'm in Florida, I'm not asking for $5 a mile coming out of Florida. Like, let's be realistic. So brokers know that. So my whole point in saying that is do great negotiation and have great business, because you don't want to look stupid to a broker. And if you're asking for $5 a mile coming out of Florida, guess what? They are completely like, this person has no idea what they're doing. They're not educated on obviously the Florida market. They don't know what's going on. You know, meet somewhere. And I'm not saying it's like that on all rates. I'm not saying that it's like that on all areas, but it brings me to my third point as a dispatcher is educate yourself. Educate yourself on what's going on in the market. Educate yourself on the different states that have freight, that don't have freight for the trucks that you're trying to move, and educate yourself on the rate per mile that those states are running to get out of, to get in. Because the same way that you might be overbidding, you can be underbidding yourself coming out of California. You could be underbidding yourself coming out of New York, you know, or Illinois. Illinois is a hot spot right now for freight. And if you're not getting great rates coming out of Illinois, you could be underbidding yourself just because you didn't know the market as a dispatcher for your carrier. So knowing the market is very important as a dispatcher. So it's communication, negotiating fair, so that way you're really conducting good business and you're building relationships, you know, long term. That's the goal. The goal is not to be booking loads off the load board. The goal is to be able to go through your emails, find your carrier's loads, and use a load board as a, you know, last resort to find loads for your carrier. And then the third thing is knowing your market as a dispatcher. All these things definitely help you when you're coming to a broker, and a broker understands that and knows that when they're talking to somebody that knows the market, that's educated, and that's willing to negotiate, you know, fair and getting somewhere. And not only that, they want to do business with you. So I really hope this information helps. I know it's a pretty fast video than most of our other videos, right? Thank God. But like I said, it's just simple things like that actually makes you a great dispatcher over some of these average dispatchers out here that are honestly just trying to book loads just to make a quick dollar. You know, like I told you before, we're not in the business of that. You know, I want to build long-term relationships with my carriers. I'm trying to build your business at the end of the day. If you are not adding more trucks to your fleet, if you are not upgrading your business to another level, then I'm doing something wrong. And I always feel that way. So this information is really for people that are really trying to grow their business. If you're trying to go out there and make a quick dollar and rack up some money really fast, our videos are not going to be for you. This video is not going to be for you. Because like I said, this is really speaking from a broker's perspective on what makes a great dispatcher. And then me deciding as a broker, do I want to deal with you as a dispatcher and your carrier or whatever carrier you're representing going forward? Do I want to be able to give you loads? This might just be a one-off load, but I might have loads that pay better. You never know. So just conducting good business is just very important as a dispatcher, communicating with the broker, giving them updates, timely updates, keeping a paper trail of everything, knowing your market, so that way when you get on the phone, you sound educated, you know what you're talking about. Like I said, if you know your truck is going into a dead zone, I don't know why you would send your truck into a dead zone unless they live there. But if your driver lives in Colorado and he has to get back in Colorado, by all means, you better be making $4 a mile going back into Colorado. To me, that's a dead zone. So knowing those different things as a dispatcher is really going to be able to help your carriers, and it's really going to show the broker that you know what you're talking about. And you as a dispatcher will be able to weed the good brokers from the brokers that aren't so good. And trust me, you'll start creating your own list of like, I want to deal with this broker, they know what they're talking about. I want to deal with this broker, they do good business, they take care of us if something's happened. And trust me, not all brokers are bad brokers. You just have to learn how to kind of filter through them over time as you're in this game for a while. And you will as you're like in this business for a while, you learn the good ones and the bad ones. So like I said, I hope this video helps you. Please like and share. Like I said, I appreciate all the love, and we'll be back for another video. Also, comment on other videos that you would like to see us do. That definitely helps us be able to get an idea of some content that everybody wants to see. All right, thank you so much.